The federal government is taking a Manitoba First Nation to court. The feds say the Band Council received too much funding for a building project and then spent the extra funds on other ventures. For more on the alleged abuse of your money, we're joined by Gregory Thomas from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Greg, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Naya.
So, Greg, is this an unusual case, or is the misspending and misuse of taxpayer funds a common issue on First Nations reserves?
Well, it's obvious that the people on the reserves are not getting the money when you go on the reserves, when you see the way these people live, and then you see the millions and millions of dollars of taxpayers' money that's being poured into some of these band councils. It's obvious. I mean, Attawapiskat, the band council was pulling down over $500,000 a year at the same time as people were living 7 to a house and all that kind of thing. So we think this is long overdue. We applaud the government for going after this money. We hope they're successful.
But is there a concern with the system? I'm reading here that the allegation is that this First Nations group in Manitoba was overfunded by $4.6 million. So isn't there a proposal process where you have to set out how much the project will cost and that's how much money you're getting? Why is it that we're giving out $4 million more than needed?
It's a good question. The other thing is there's a big Montreal engineering firm that's also on the writ, as well as a consulting firm. And these people were entrusted with this money. They were supposed to be assisting in the supervision of the project. Government's going after them, too. So we're looking forward to the case. We hope to get to the bottom of it, and it's time the truth came out.
Yeah, and a recent poll, in fact, found that the majority of Canadians think the government is too generous. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I don't know how generous it is when you won't let a person own their own house, when you won't let a person engage in a profit-making enterprise. These are the kind of third world colonial restrictions that we put on Aboriginal people in Canada. We are creating a laboratory where it's impossible to work, it's impossible to own your own home or to have any pride of ownership. And the faster we get rid of these old-style rules, the better. I don't know if it's generous just constantly stroking checks and handing money out to people, or handing them out to potentates who can't even ensure that the people living on the reserves live decently, have windows that aren't boarded up, have sewers that function properly. That was another big issue in Attawapiskat. The sewer broke and they never fixed it, even though the band council was pulling down nearly $500,000 a year in salaries.
Yeah, we see these poverty-stricken conditions, and yet we hear about millions and millions of dollars being funneled to the actual chief or band council. Do you think the government's going far enough to curb abuses of financial abuses on these First Nation reserves?
Well, they're doing some good things. There's legislation before Parliament that will force band councils to disclose all their finances. There's also legislation before Parliament that will allow councils to have independently supervised elections. These reforms are happening, and it's time that Canadians knew how this money was being spent, and we think within a year or two it's going to be happening. And those things are positive, and it's also positive that the government holds a band council to account where they believe that money hasn't been spent properly.
Yeah, certainly. It really does come down to accountability. And as you did mention, some important reforms are in process. So we'll see how far this goes. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, that is Gregory Thomas in Ottawa.